Only need one sink, only need one sink, only need one
Have you
sink.
seen our creative bulb?
Okay, add it to my cart. You've got the camera. We've got everything else. Shop Godox SA for your production equipment.
How's it guys? Has my mic on there? How's it guys, and welcome to another Getting to Grips brought to you by Godox SA and Golden Power Batteries. So today I've sort of set the studio very different. We're going to be going through some stuff, getting back to basics. So I'm going to be going through some of the questions that often get asked to me over emails, over DMs, anything. I've just compiled about 6 or 7 of them now. I'm just going to go through them and sort of chat through them and do some demonstrations, what can be done or what you can actually use. So before I get started, we have the amazing Talia on the switcher, and the switcher is sponsored by Tamba Broadcast Solutions. So if you need anything streaming wise, switches, they're the people to go and see. They have all of the good stuff, TriCasters, a lot. So right, so I want to get sort of started with one of the questions that I normally get is what and how can I start, and what can I start with? So obviously the obvious ones is obviously a space to shoot in, a camera, and maybe a flash. So that's the sort of 3 things you're going to need to start to actually do photography. Especially if you're wanting to do portraiture or product photography, you need that space, you need the camera, and you need at least one flash. So then they say, well, you know, I don't have a big space or a large space for a studio and that type of thing. And then I say, well, what I've done is in studio today, I've got this 2.7. This background is 2.7 wide. I've put my foam boards or my poly boards actually down this one side to act like a wall. And I've put another paper roll down this side to act like a wall. And it's 2.7 by 2.7 square. So whatever shooting I do today will be inside that area. So if you have an average size sort of bedroom in an average size house in South Africa, probably 3 by 3, 2.7, 2 by 2.7, they're often quite sort of square, and it could be a 3rd bedroom or whatever. So you can actually do it in that type of space. Also, if that bedroom has any yellow walls or any weird color walls, paint them white. Okay, paint them white, and then you can actually utilize a white wall by bouncing light off it, bouncing flash on, which I would actually demonstrate anyway today. So then the other thing is like, but Karl, I've only got an entry-level camera. You know, I need a better camera. What I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to be shooting with an entry-level camera. Okay, so this, if I can get it in front of the camera here, this is a Canon 100D. This thing is probably the smallest digital SLR can fit in a hand that you can actually get. So this is entry level. I mean, it's quite an old camera, but it's entry level camera. Okay, and it has something that my 6D doesn't have. Believe it or not, it has a built-in light. No. Anyway, this flash, I'm going to demonstrate a shot with this flash today. So I'll take a couple of shots of the mannequin head. That is our model for today, as we've had a couple of hiccups with models this week. But I'm going to show you a shot with this flash on the mannequin, just to show you what it does. It doesn't do a great job, but it does light, but it's not something that you should try in portraiture. Then they say, I've only got kit lenses. I'm going to use a kit lens. This is the 18-55 Canon kit lens. So I'm going to put that onto the camera. And we're going to then take some sample shots of that. So to try and sort of clear up those first couple of questions, we're going to clear up the camera issue. We've got the camera. We've actually got a light, which is on the camera, but I'm going to bring out another light just now, like a speed light. We've got the kit lens, and we have a small studio space to shoot in where the model is quite close to the background, so going to expect some shadows, but then I'll show you how to fix that by just investing a little bit more into your lighting. Okay, the other question as well is about the cameras. While I put this all together, about the cameras, people often say, yeah, but I need to buy a decent camera before I actually start and everything else. And I often tell them, rather invest into what your camera needs to see. So you've got a camera that can take a photograph. If you don't have light, your camera is not going to take a photograph. Okay, so important thing is your lighting. Invest in some lighting, and we'll go through that this evening. All right. Another thing where people also ask me, what is that big long orange cable that you use in getting to grips? It's actually my tether cable. So I can just send the images to the PC. So I'm just going to put this in, and hopefully this camera will pick up on the screen. Just check there if my capture one is open there, Talia. Right. So I'm going to use a pop-up flash, and obviously what I'm going to do is just to prove that there's no ambient light affecting the shot. I'm actually going to take a shot of the head without any flash or anything. So, all right. So here we go, and let's see, did something come up? See. So that is now where you can obviously see that your shadows, your lights, and everything else. So everything on this camera, because I haven't set this camera up yet. So at 5.6 or 1600 ISO at 60th of a second, that is all you can actually see. So I'm going to take the ISO down to 100, and then I'm going to bring up probably to 125 actually on the shutter. So let me just, I think you can see that on the software there. So let me take another shot. You see how important it is to have good lighting, because even if you pump the ISO up on this, the actual image will look terrible. Don't think that one came through, did it? Let me just take a shot here, and is the tether coming through? No. Is it connected there? I'm going to unplug it. Let's take a shot. Please come through now, Mr. Tether. It's not coming through. It's slow. It's very slow. So let me.
Network issue.
Huh?
Network issue.
No. No, that's just by the F side. Don't worry about that one. Right, I'm going to just try and get this tether cable sorted. Because maybe it's the tether cable to that machine that I'm actually having the issue with. And that's what's causing a problem. Yeah, that one. Yeah, don't touch the other one because that's the network. Right, let me just try. Just tell me when you've plugged it back in. I can see it's plugged back in, it's busy. I think it's just telling me it's busy. Ah, the joys. There you go. Okay, so there's the image. Finally, we got the image through, and it is a black image. So no ambient light is actually coming through. So I'm going to turn up. So we're going to put up, I'm going to go to camera 4, because I'm going to show this run up close here. Just camera 4 there. Camera 4. Right, so I'm going to actually use this camera with a pop-up flash on the model. So let me just do a shot here. Ooh, it's an ugly flash that. And there you go, how beautiful is that? So it's not the most flattering flash to use if you're going to be doing portraiture and that type of stuff. And also if you actually use your camera on the side, so if I actually held this camera on the side and took a shot, the shadow will be absolutely disgusting. There you go. It's not a great flash, so if you're going to do portraiture, stay away from this flash here. I'm going to close it because I don't like what it's doing there. So, right. So what lights can you actually get? Yep. My camera is auto-focusing all over the place there. Speed light. So this is a pretty basic Godox flash, but I mean, it's a manual flash. It is the TT600, but these things are potent, not in just pushing out light, but in the functionality that these things actually have, which I'm going to be showing later in front of camera. This will make your life a lot easier. Getting one or two of these will actually make a big difference in any of your photography. So I'm going to put this on top of the camera. And then I'm going to tighten it down. So now what you're thinking is, okay, he's changed the small light for a bigger light. Yeah, it is. But it will give us a better light. But when you're pointing this is never a nice studio setup to have your light directly really pointing at the actual subject just above the lens. It's not often the best. Often we like to have our lights high up, pointing down, or pointing down and just feathering light. So this is going to be a lot of light that is actually going to be hitting the actual subject. So I'm going to put this on about 1/16 power. I'm going to make sure I'm standing inside the small room, and I'm just going to put it on live view so I can not have to take my hat off. Okay, so this is going to gives us a better light. I mean, it's not bad, but if again I turn my camera to the side and I actually focus, if it focuses, it actually gives us that shadow, and look how high that shadow is up. So if we're often doing like that bare bulb type look, the light is a lot higher up, the shadow then falls off behind the model. It's fine, I think, if you're going for an old punk look, maybe an old early 80s look, it could work, but it's not the most flattering light to have on top of the camera. So there is a couple of things that we can do. And remember I said, if you actually have a room where you have yellow walls, get rid of them. You don't want that yellow coming across into your imagery and stuff like that. So if you have a small room, paint the walls white. Your background can be a white wall. And use the other white walls to bounce light around. So I'm going to leave it on top of the camera. I'm going to point it straight up in the air. I'm going to turn this section up here into a light source, so we actually bounce the light back down. So we're going to throw light up and it's going to actually come down just to see the difference in the shadows. So you look at this, we got very harsh shadows, the light was very direct. Now we're going to give it a nice bounce of light, and I'm going to take it down probably 2 stops. So I was on 1/16 power just now. I'm going to take it down to 1/4 power because I'm going to be firing up and having enough light to actually come down. So I'm going to be inside my little 2.7 by 2.7 space. And how is much better is that? So that is just bouncing light off the ceiling. So you can actually do the same by bouncing stuff off the walls. Yeah, this old lens is noisy. So I'm going to also take a shot bouncing it off the side wall. Now you can see we get a bit of depth into the image now. I could probably even put the power up a little bit, not even a stop, maybe 2/3. And there you see that is a flash on top of camera, just bouncing light off of the wall, bouncing light off the ceiling. And now you can actually start seeing there's some shadow coming in. So sending the light one side, bouncing back. The other side has got a white wall, so that's also going to allow light to come in. But you have now starting to see some shadow and some definition, which is the cool part, because then you can play around and put the flash on like a 45 degrees. I'm going to turn it this way, so we're going to bounce into this wall and to that ceiling. So you could actually almost create a maybe a gradation on the background. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, so that is another shot. It's a bit hot on the top. I think I'm probably going to take it down to a quarter power again. Let me take the shot again. Okay, so that is bouncing flash, a flash on top of your camera as well. So just knowing and understanding how light bounces around. If you've got a white room, small white room with walls that you can bounce light off, rather bounce that light and don't stress about putting light directly onto the model, especially in a small space, especially if you've got your light on top of your camera. Okay, make use of these modifiers around. So once you throw light onto a wall, it turns it into a modifier, a giant reflector. So just remember, when you're in small spaces, use bounce. It works quite well. Okay, so I'm going to turn that flash off. I'm just going to turn the camera off quickly. The other thing is, I've shot these images with a kit lens, and I shot the image with a entry-level camera, and we've done some real ugly images with a pop-up flash, as they call it. But then we've taken some fairly decent ones with a flash actually on the camera by just utilizing the space that we actually have. So other people say, well, that's all great, but how do you then start off-camera flash? Off-camera flash, I tell you, once you start, you'll never go back. So that's what you do. You take your flash off your camera, and then you've now got to get the bits in between. So you've got to get something that's going to be transmitting a signal from your camera to your flash. Okay, so there is a couple of things you can do. You can use a little adapter on there to put a P-Sync cable in and connect it to a light or your flash. That's one way of doing it, but with less cables, I mean, this is the only cable I want to see in my studio. I don't want cables running to lights, running to PowerPoints and stuff like that. It's one of the reasons why I went with the strobes I did, which I will discuss that later. So we need to actually get what they call a commander, a trigger. There's a couple of names for them, but this is it. This is the Godox X Pro 2. This is the one for the Canon, for my Canons, because I shoot with those. These are great because this gives you the flexibility of being able to do anything with your lights, and it's not just 5 groups. You can have many groups, you can put as many lights on, and these actually work great. And then we actually have the new one. So this is the X3. This is the Godox latest one. Okay, this is also for my Canon. So I'm going to be demonstrating this trigger this evening. But before I do that, I actually want to get and show you what you can do with these flashes. Because this flash, you can actually set it to become a commander or a trigger. You can get it to be a receiver, or you can do what we just did now by putting it on top of your camera and use it as a flash. So I'm just going to go in front of, let me just go in front of this camera, see if I get a light stand here. I'm going to put this onto a stand, and then I'm going to show you some tricks on the back of this flash. Alright, any questions so far? Any questions there, Talia? I'm going to need my glasses for this one. Click. Right. I'm just going to come around this side. Maybe I should do it in front of the other camera because... Okay, can you see that on there? Was the light too much on the... There you go. Might be better that way. Let me just turn it so you can see it. Cool. Alright, so with these flashes, you can actually see that there's a couple of buttons and functions. So you got your on button. So when you put it on, this is the mode, basically is the one where you will put it on your camera and you would shoot away like we were doing just now. But then there's other buttons here that I'm going to bring to is group, and we've got channels. So we've got a button there which is a long push and a short push button. Then we have mode, and then we have another little icon or picture underneath there. It almost looks like a Z. So that is how we actually change from receiver to master or back to normal flash mode. So I'm going to show you how this works, because with this flash I can actually control an 8300 or any other Godox light, because it's using the same system in this as it does in the 8300s, the Godox wireless systems, and they all work the same. So let me show you how this gets done. So I'm going to hold down, I'm going to look on this screen here. You'll see this little flashing antenna in the corner there. Okay, so that tells you now you can actually select what mode or what transaction mode you want. So there's your master. Okay, so you got M and you got there, and we set it. Tells us what channel we're on, and on the top here it's got the group where it's got M. So that's telling me that that is the power for the actual master light, which is this one. So that's the one that's firing off there. Now we can actually turn this one off. I'm just going to turn it down. There you go, to the off position. So 128, we got it off. So if I push a test button, it won't fire. Now I'm going to put on the 8300. I'm going to put this onto A. Now the group and the channel button is on the bottom, so the channel is on 24, which is right. I'm going to go to A, which is there. And there it fires an 8300 by using a Godox flash. Now you can do this with all the Godox flashes that have the wireless system in, so you can actually use it as a trigger. So if you've got more than one flash and you want to bounce some light off a ceiling, you can actually leave this one on, but it also send out the signal for the other flashes to actually fire. So that's quite cool. If I long press this again, you'll see that that little signal in the corner there actually is turning. I'm going to turn it to S and press set. So that's now actually put this flash into slave mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this 8300 off so it doesn't cause any confusion. I'm going to now get the missing piece from your camera to your flash is your trigger. So this is the X3. Show you what it looks like. There you go. It is it. It's quite small. It's got the 3 buttons on the side. So you've got your test, you've got your menu and your power, and then there's a little dial and push button selection there on the side. You've got your charging point as well as your firmware update, I'm sure, on that. Then we've got a button on the back which is your locking pin release. So if you see the locking pin when you push that in, it goes up and in and out. So when you actually put this onto the camera, I actually hold it like this, push it in and slip it onto the camera. So I'm gonna set up this so we can actually do a off-camera flash, and that is about as simple as it gets. So I'm gonna turn on this trigger. I like the little Godox logo that comes up, it's cool. So you can actually see there, we've got the actual groups there. And I'm gonna actually show you, let me see if I can go into one. I'm gonna put this one on pause. So putting it on pause means you're turning it off. You're turning that channel off. You can then slide back. And then we're gonna work on A, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So the actual flash is group A, channel 24, and then it's gonna be waiting for a signal. So I'm going to press the test. There's it here. That one. There you go. So I press the test button and the flash is going off. I don't know how much easier it can actually be, but this is how good the Godox wireless system actually is. It really, really is. And this, as I said, this can actually be set up as a master to control 8400s, 8600s, 8300s, 8200s. So investing in one of these flashes, whether it's a flagship or any of the Godox flashes, it will be one of the good investments that you actually make, which I will discuss later. Alright, so we've actually got a flash. I'm gonna now get this onto a different stand because I'm gonna show you what else you'll need to get. So I'm just gonna unscrew this one off the stand. Right, we just move this out the way. Let me just get this. Okay. So another good investment is actually your S2 brackets. Now you can put 8200 Pros in here, you can put 8100s, you can put flashes, you can put all sorts of things, and it actually gives you the ability to put a Bowens softbox on, Bowens mounted softbox. What I like about that, the same thing as I do with the 8400s, I put an 8300 in here, I've got a Godox mount and I've got a Bowens mount on one actual light, which comes in handy for the stuff, some of the stuff I do. So when I put my flashes on sort of into a light stand or onto anything, I make sure I actually put this on the bottom just to protect the plate. That's something that I do. You can use it or leave it. It's cool. Okay, so there we actually have our flash mounted quite easy, waiting for us to send it a signal. And then this you can actually just then attach onto a stand. Doesn't have to be a C stand, but Godox do have these C stands at awesome prices. Which any of this stuff you can actually get to godox.co.za and use my code, which we'll put up on the screen. Right. You'll see that this light is flashing, so this light actually is just there to say that it's actually in slave mode and it's actually waiting. Right. So now I'm going to shoot with a bare bulb, and I'm going to lift up the light, because now off camera flash we can lift the light right up in the air. We can move it around. This gives you a new freedom working with flashes off the camera, and what I'm going to do is turn the camera on, and we've got there. So for me to actually change these settings, I'm just going to show you what that was on pause. So I can go in, it tells me what the, like if I was using a strobe with the modeling lamp, it tells me that I'm in manual mode. Obviously that manual flash doesn't have TTL. And then also you've got your power at the top, which you just press in the button on the side there, and you can actually adjust the power quite easily. I'm going to probably put it about 1/8. Let me see what that gives me. Test it. Alright, so let me take another shot here quickly. And the other thing I like about this X3 is I can wear my hat and have a trigger on my... Oh, that's very, very bright. Don't judge me on that one. Better to have a light meter. I'm going to go to 1/16. So you look now, a reason I just wanted to get the shadow actually in the actual image there was to show you, with the light raised up close to the ceiling, your shadows are now falling right the way down. So if you're doing headshots, so I'm going to come in tight, I'm still shooting within my space. There you go, I'm still there, and you can just see the shadow in the corner. But if she had shoulders, which Dolly doesn't have shoulders, I must get her some shoulders one day, but literally you'll have no shadow in the background, and she's quite close to the background, so it's probably less than a meter away from the back wall. So even though I'm shooting in a 2.7 meter area, she's still quite close to the background. Okay, so you can play around now, because now with off-camera flash you have the ability to put on different modifiers. And one that you actually might see a lot of, I know, is the CD15. It comes with 3 different almost attachments that just actually go onto the back of the actual rubber, or it's not rubber, but like a silicone dome. And you can actually put this actually on your flash quite easily. So I'm just going to bring this down a little bit so I can reach it. Undo the S2 bracket, just feed it through a little bit more. This is actually quite nice as well, because you can actually use this to almost do a bit of zooming as well in a beauty dish or a softbox, or right. Very easily attached to the front of your flash. So this is gonna now give us a lot more spread of light. It's not going to be very directional, so we'll move it a bit closer, and I will actually put the power up a little bit. Let me get my... So I'm going to put it up to 1/8. 1/8 power, and let's see what we get. So I'm in my little space, and I'm shooting with this 18 to 55 mm lens. I'm shooting between 50 and 55. There you go. So you can see how much different now the light is actually getting. I'm gonna actually take it up to about 1/4 on power. Let's do another shot. One stop difference in light. I'm going to put it down to 2/3, 1/8 and 2/3. Just going to zoom out a little bit just to show you. Now the shadow is so soft behind there just because you've now put a diffuser on. So that is working with that. You can also put like a softbox. Let me get a softbox on here. Any questions about off-camera flash? Godox make it so easy. It's very hard to sort of make it sound hard, if you know what I mean. Right. Just going to move this flash out a little bit. Okay. So now we've got a bigger softbox on. So I've got no grid on here, so this is actually going to give us a bit of light, and we're still using a speed light. So we're not. Let's see what the softbox gives us. Here's our softbox. I'm going to just bring that light down a little bit because I moved it closer. And also, the closer you have your lights to your subject as well, you can actually shoot on lower power and sort of save battery and get some nice soft light as well, because closer the light is to your subject, the softer the light. So there we've got a nice sort of shadow Rembrandt type sort of light there going. So that is what you can actually do with off-camera flash. Now we can add in, if you need an additional light and you don't have the budget for an additional light, then grab one of these. Okay, this is the 110 reflector. I often use this when I'm doing headshots. You'll often see that it's actually on the white side on mine. Okay, so what this is actually going to do, you're just going to bring this actually in closer to actually reflect light back into your subject to fill in your shadows. So if you're wanting to fill the shadows on that image there, get a reflector arm. This is actually the Selene reflector arm, which you can get from Golden Power batteries. There's also a code for Golden Power batteries you can use. I'm just going to put this on a light stand. Right. Let me get this stand up. And the thing I like about this reflector arm is that it's actually in the middle here, which is very cool. So you can actually centralize the actual point where you put it on your stand. Right. Judge 110 roughly on this. So I'm going to use the white side of the reflector. Okay, so I'm going to be putting this in. This on. And just adjust that in. and then tighten it. So this becomes a second light source in your studio, and it's not too big, it's not too small, but it's big enough to do what it needs to do, because we're still fitting right into our little small space. I always say to the models that they mustn't feel claustrophobic. I'm just going to bring stuff in closer to them, and always communicate with people when you're moving things into their space. Right. So we have one speed light, we have a 110 reflector, and I'm going to leave it on this power setting because I want to get the same type of shot. So you see how those shadows now have been lightened slightly. So if we went back to the previous image, just click on the previous image there, Tyler. I think you're here to use the mouse. So you can see how dark the shadows and stuff were actually on that image. Now, actually, just putting that fill light in, or that reflector board, actually filled in those shadows. Just go to that last one. There. So it's still Rembrandt. The shadows are a little bit lighter, but it's actually quite a cool headshot. And that is just using one speed light, off-camera flash, with a, it's not an expensive modifier, the strip box. It's actually a very reasonable priced modifier. I think it's under, I think these are even under 1,000 Rand. The speed light is a good investment to have, even if you actually have a studio. Speed lights are great to have around. There's extra lights here and there. So it's never a waste of money there. And then obviously your reflector arm and your reflectors that you can also get from godox.co.za. And use my code on the Godox one. So that banner will be up on the screen as well, so you can make note of that. Right. So off-camera flash is not difficult with the right system. So making that investment into a system that actually works, it's just a non-brainer. Really, it's like I switch the trigger on, I make sure it's on the same channel, make sure it's on the actual group that I want to fire, that the light is on, and it connects. It's as easy as that. It really is an amazing thing to actually work on. So what I'm going to do is go through some of the things that you won't actually waste money on. Okay, speed lights, it's not a waste of money. So whatever speed lights you actually get, whether you get through the Godox, look at an entry level. Start off with an entry. If you don't have the budget, start off with the entry level speed light that actually has the wireless system in it. This one, I think there was still some on the side for the TT600. This is a manual flash. So with this flash, I can use it to control the system. I can use it to add to the system, or I can just use it at an event on top of my camera. So this type of investment is never a waste. Speed lights, start off with a speed light, start off with 2 speed lights. I can get away and take some great portraiture with just 1 speed light. It's really that simple. Then you say, well, Karl, why did you buy the 8300s, 400s and stuff? Because I need a bit of extra power. Otherwise, in the studio, in this small space of a studio, a couple of speed lights will be more than ample. Okay, I do things like projection and that type of stuff where I need to really pump like a 400 or 300 watts of light power over a distance. So I'm going to need power, and that's the reason why I've actually gone with the bigger strobes. If I was shooting in a bedroom, look at the V1s, the 860s, and I tell you, those you can use outdoor, indoor, the same with the strobes. The 8300s, I can use them in studio, I can use them out studio. So when I go and I buy one of these lights, I'm not just buying it for in studio. I'm buying this to actually use wherever I can, whether it's lighting something outside, whether it's product photography with a model lamp, whether it's wireless inside the studio. This light must work wherever I go. This light must work. As long as I keep the batteries charged, everything should be fine. And as I said, with the 400s and the 600s, you just need that extra bit of power. If you're outdoor shooting a lot, overpowering sun, then go for your 600s. If you're using projection units, use your 400s. They're more than powerful enough for that type of thing. The new projection unit, the BFPs, they fit on the 1200s, they fit on the 600s. So they like really have upped their game even on the projection side of things. But talking about portraiture in a small space, speedlights, and I'm sure Pakamani still has his original speedlight that he bought originally, his first light from Godox. I'm sure he still uses it today. And I think a lot of people even say that with the 8200s. So I think investing in speedlights, you're not going to waste your money. Investing in a light where you know you're going to be shooting indoors, outdoors, the AD series lights are really, really awesome. So you're not going to waste money whatsoever on that type of thing. Is there any questions there? Nothing. It's always bad when people don't have questions, eh? But anyway, I don't think there's much more I can actually sort of show on that side of things. Flashes you can get from godox.co.za. Have a look there. They have a full range. They have the V1 Pros. They have the V1s. They have, I think there was the TT600 if I remember, which is the one I was using. And there's a whole load. You got your sport for choice on speedlights, but depends on what your budget is. But you can't go wrong with a speedlight, especially in a small space. I can't say it enough times. When you're shooting in a small space like this, that light is more than powerful enough. I was shooting on. Let me just check the power I was shooting on. I was shooting that speedlight on 1/16 power in this small space. So bouncing off the ceiling, I went to about 1/4 power on the speedlight and got a nice even lit image. So more than enough power in a speedlight if you're looking to start off in a small portrait studio at home. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I think I've pretty much covered a lot of this stuff. But the other thing is, this weekend, 27th, we are going to be at Kloppers in Pretoria. I'll be sharing some of the location and some more of the posts that were coming out. The actual Kloppers advert. I think we've actually got that. Just bring that Kloppers one up. So you can actually join us on the 27th. We'll be there between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. I think. Well, Kloppers. Kloppers? Kloppers.
I don't know what it is. Where did it go?
Just going to help the stream director here. She's lost the macros.
They ran away.
I think it's that one there. So I'm back. So we got the Kloppers weekend. Myself, Ashville is also going to be there. So we got some nice goodies, Godox goodies. I won't give too much away. But we got a model also coming. Justine's coming through with us. She's going to be our model. And we're going to be doing some shoots. Bring your camera. We're going to have consistent lighting. We're going to have flashlights. We're going to have just some fun on this day, showing you guys what you can actually do with some of the new Godox equipment, and looking forward to that one. Also, please subscribe to the Godox WhatsApp, because there you can actually stay up to date with this. So if you look at here, just scan this code and you can actually connect with the Godox WhatsApp channel. Also, subscribe to their YouTube channel, which is at Godox SA on YouTube, that you can actually get information. Subscribe there, be notified by anything that actually goes out there, whether it's a product unboxing, whether it's f-stop live, whether it's getting to grips. Be notified. Subscribe to the actual YouTube channel, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, KJD Photography, and let's get some awesome content out for you guys. And I think that is about it.
Somebody's asking, when will you be going to Cloppers?
It will be on the 27th. So you can bring that one up again, Talia, so they can see. So there it is, on the 27th of July, between 9 a.m. 1 p.m. Be myself and Ashvia, where we will be there. And it's a massive store. I mean, I've seen a video of this thing, and it's absolutely massive. So we're going to be shooting just inside the entrance on the stairway. So there's a moving stairs, or the escalators, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what it is in Afrikaans, but then you got like a concrete aluminium handrail stairs. Okay, so we're going to have fun shooting there and having a time of our life with our favorite lighting equipment from Godox SA. So yeah, I think that is about it. Oh, another shout out for Tamba as well, because without their equipment, we will not be able to have all this cool stuff that we do on the streams for Godox SA. So big shout out to them, and many thanks for your sponsoring of the A10 Mini Pro. Cool. So I think that's... Hey? Any other questions?
Golden power batteries anymore.
Golden power batteries. Yeah. So these backgrounds all come from golden power batteries. So anything from power stations, anything else, photography as well, like the reflector stand, the reflector arms is a Solen's reflector arm from golden power batteries. They have some Solen's softboxes, I think even Pakamani's got one of those. He tried it out. It's like a big beauty dish softbox. I'm sure he's done a review on that, so you can probably follow up with him. But everything else photographic you can actually get. Batteries, power stations, you name it, get to GPB. The discount code should be over here, and the address should be over here. Okay. Also, don't forget F-Stop Live every Thursday evening with Pakamani. Great interviews, and it's always a lot of fun hearing from people and actually just learning from different people that do things differently. So it's really, really cool. So make sure that you watch that, and we will see you again soon on Getting to Grips. So I think she wasn't ready for me. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you again soon. It's never a dull moment on Getting to Grips, that's for sure. And cheers for now.
I want the sun.
Operation Night 2D.
Copy that.
Only your future is brighter than us. Shop Godox SA for your production equipment.